On September 11, 2001, Osama bin Laden carried out the deadliest attack ever perpetrated on American soil.
It was a mass murder, and there needed to be an investigation.
Some people felt that a commission would uncover misdeeds or carelessness of people in the administration that would be embarrassing to them.
Thanks to the activities of the families, not me and Joe Lieberman, but thanks to the families, we were able to bring it about.
From his office in Tower 2, 24-year-old Brad Fetchett called his father.
Dad, I want you to not be worried. I want to remind you I'm in Tower 2, not in Tower 1. They're telling us things are okay.
My husband asked Brad to call me, and here is the recording of his call around 9 o'clock.
Hey Mom, it's Brad. I just wanted to call and let you know, I'm sure that you heard, or maybe you haven't heard, that a plane crashed into World Trade Center 1. Obviously alive and well over here. But I'll give you a call back later. I called Dad to let him know.
I love hearing his voice, but I hate hearing the message. And I hate thinking about the circumstance he was in.
We received a phone call and were notified that a second plane had hit. I said to the police commissioner that we're in uncharted territory.
The August 6 PDB warned against possible attacks in this country.
I believe the title was Bin Laden Determined to Attack Inside the United States.
She will not acknowledge that they made a misjudgment.
Your government failed you. Those entrusted with protecting you failed you.
Someone had finally just admitted that they made a mistake and said they were sorry. We hadn't heard that before.
The biggest contradiction in our culture today is calling medicine healthcare. We spend $2.7 trillion per year, and we're incredibly sick as a culture.
I don't think any of us would have a problem spending that much money if we got results, but we're not getting the results for that investment.
I feel worse now than I did 2.5 years ago when I started seeing, I'm told, some of the best people in the business.
Nobody has had the good sense to say, Mr. Morris, we don't know what's wrong with you.
I went to numerous doctors, and my husband said, "What do we do now?" And she looked at him and she goes, "She was sending me home to die."
We're seeing patients that truly have had the best healthcare money can buy. They've been to every specialist, and they're sort of missing this important piece.
Alternative treatment has not been allowed to flourish in the medical community. It's basically been stifled.
The AMA's goal and objective was to contain and eliminate the profession of chiropractic. And they did it in the most clandestine way possible.
He sat us down and he says, your son has cancer.
They did all these things to try to find some cancer, and every one of those tests came out negative. Yet the doctor still kept saying, well, we still expect you to come Thursday morning to start chemotherapy.
We have patients that have absolutely no benefit from the surgery we provide.
I had a man come into my office the other day who had 8 back surgeries. He didn't need one of them.
People who had back pain, a manageable problem, they get put on this drug, and next thing you know, they substitute their back pain for a drug addiction.
I almost feel guilty because I'm, let's face it, a junkie.
The pharmaceutical industry doesn't have any respect for you. They're talking about which drug whore to get to promote their products. They have no respect for their whores.
GSK sales force bribed physicians to prescribe GSK products.
Every year, 125,000 people die from properly prescribed prescription drugs.
I do not agree with Michael Moore in any way, shape, or form.
It's not a documentary. It's a lie.
Made up history, reversed history.
There is not one positive image of a soldier being portrayed in Fahrenheit 9/11 at all.
This is a man who's making millions off other people's misery.
No, this is my Oscar moment.
You give me enough footage of Michael Moore in enough situations, I can make him look like an anorexic right-winger.
If you look at Fahrenheit 9/11 as a work of propaganda, you have to recognize traditional objectives of wartime propaganda were to convince the enemy that the fight is bloody and awful. It's hopeless. The question is who Moore defines as an enemy.
The only way to defeat terrorism is to stop it, eliminate it, and destroy it where it grows.
There is no terrorist threat. There is no terrorist threat.
I said 3,000 people.
were murdered. How can you say this?
The suggestion that there is not a terrorist threat is a delusion.
Of course we're at war. After 9/11, people began to realize it, but up until that time, we'd sort of lived in a fool's paradise.
Moore claims Bush invaded Afghanistan so that Unocal could build a pipeline to transport oil.
When one conspiracy theory is refuted, Moore simply substitutes another.
The thesis that underpinned the film, that President Bush wanted to go to war and seized upon the pretext of 9/11 to have the war that he wanted to have, is simply a fabrication.
It was really taken out of context. If I was to make a Nazi propaganda film and put Michael Moore's image in there and make it to present my point of view, I don't think he would like that. I felt like I'd been violated in some way.
It's just a dirty feeling to see a funeral and something that is so personal be drugged through something so vile.
80 years from now, film schools will still be studying this as one of the most effective propaganda movies ever made.